Well, everybody, thank you for coming in, and welcome here to our first just social internet gathering where we're going to be talking about just what we're going through and from all these different perspectives. And I'm really excited because on here today, I have so many amazing teachers. I had no idea I had so much support here. So thank you so much to all of my colleagues who are here to help me. And give these perspectives on what's happening even from our side, because it's overwhelming for everybody, even not just for the parents, but also for the teachers on this side who are still trying to give their students like authentic and really great curriculum. And by the way, what I've seen from my own kids has been amazing. So kudos to you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. It's awesome. So tell me a little bit about, from a teacher's perspective, from you guys, as we're waiting for more parents to join on, how does it feel to do virtual learning or teaching?
Who wants to go first?
I mean, I got to count to 15, so you guys might as well go.
Jordan, why don't you tell us what your side? What do you think? Tell us what you teach, like what grade you teach, and then how are you doing it so far?
Okay, do you want to know what school we're at as well?
Yeah, you can, sure.
My name is Jordan Germain. I teach 3rd grade at Rick Center, and we've had 1 week of digital home distance learning. And it's been an adjustment. I would say having 3rd graders, they're right on the cusp of where it feels like they can, by Thursday and by yesterday on Wednesday, it really started to feel like they were getting the hang of it. But it's been a pretty massive adjustment. And I still feel like I'm trying to find ways to offer differentiation. I feel like I'm still trying to understand, what did I send home? Did I give them enough intro? And then, where do we go from here with the announcement today that it's going to be another 3 weeks, 2 weeks more than we kind of had planned for originally.
Yeah. So for those of you who are not in Colorado,
sorry.
No, it's for those of you who are not in Colorado, we just got word that we can't go back to school until the 19th of April. So, and for those of you who just joined on, I have several teachers here who are giving their perspective of what they're trying to accomplish virtually for students, which is really, really difficult, obviously. And then we'll get around to some parent perspective too once we get a little bit more people on. So, yeah, so tough. Thank you, Jordan. I mean, who else wants to add to that? Because I'm sure it's like you're doing videos now. You guys aren't used to doing videos like I am.
No. Tori, do you want to go, or I'll go?
I can go.
Oh, go, Suze, go.
Okay. I think I've been a teacher for a long time, but this year I'm a coach, so it's a little more of I'm in a lot of different classrooms, so I kind of get that overview. And overall, I can see that people, it kind of brings to the forefront, like, what is really essential in education. And you can hear, like Jordan was expressing her concerns about, like, what quality instruction is and all of that. But this week, it's really been this sense of urgency, I think, for communicating a sense of predictability, of normalcy, and connection between each other. So people have been almost on hyperdrive to maintain those opportunities for responding to each other and using social media and, whatever systems we have for that. Making videos, FaceTime is really important. Zoom has come in to be, like, even for our youngest students whom we thought Zoom wouldn't be a very good tool for them, because, just having to do with the access of the technology in real time. But actually that is coming out to be really important, because just having that FaceTime together, that social engagement, is key. So it kind of flips, like, what's important in education and being together, that social learning.
So I muted everybody else until you're ready to speak. So unmute yourself when you're ready to contribute to the group, you guys. I'm also curious to see, how is it going in Wisconsin? We have a few people who are in Wisconsin right now. What's the situation over there in your state?
I'll speak first, and I know that there's a couple of other Wisconsinites on here. But our kids' official first day out of school was yesterday. And they're just telling us till April 6th right now, but I did hear today that the governor of Wisconsin is mentioned that it's going to be an indefinite date now. As well as we've just had our first case in our county of COVID-19, and it actually is an individual. I don't know if it's a student or a parent in our high school. And so I think tonight there's a lot of just what I'm seeing online. There's just, it's kind of like our big wake up call that this is becoming real. And I don't know, maybe Caitlin, I think you're working in the school age care. I believe they opened up the school age care just to help with parents like that are in like the medical or the fields that we need them to go to work. I don't know, Caitlin, can you hear me? Logan, do you know more?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out my mute and unmute. And then I had to roll out of bed to not wake the baby. I was just listening. But I think I know that Caitlin for sure, she's just from what I got from her today was they ended up calling off quite a few of the school age care employees because there was only like 2 or 3 kids that are associated with medical workers that ended up showing up. So Caitlin's just kind of been working from home. And I think she's just been doing lesson planning and for summer and into next year, is from what I understood.
So are they not they're not asking the teachers yet to lesson plan and try to do the virtual learning yet over there?
That's as far as school age care, I don't think so. Like for my daughter, for me personally, I have gotten about 10 emails in the last 2 days from her teacher. And then I was added to a Facebook group and we were sent home with 2 bags full of stuff with more instructions in there. So I honestly have been so overwhelmed by all of it that I have not even looked at any of it. It was super overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm gonna chime in and say, as a parent, it has been overwhelming even on this end, and I can do this. I mean, I'm a teacher and I can still do this, and yet, like all the things I was telling Tori today, who's a teacher who's on here right now, and who's a teacher to one of my youngest daughter. That we just don't have time to do all the things in the lessons, but it's good to have more work than less. But I think it gives her a little anxiety that she can't get through everything. And it's not that, she just doesn't want to get through everything. It's so hard for her to have steady concentration for at home because it's just not a school environment. And so it's been really overwhelming in general. And everything's structured for me by what is given to me through Rick. So it's been great. But if I didn't have that structure, I can't even imagine how overwhelmed and frustrated and lost. I think lost is a great word to have. I would be as a parent in the situation right now. Just lost, not knowing what am I going to teach my kid and how I'm going to do that.
So hey SJ. So I unmuted myself, Kristina, because I would like to say something. a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from parents has been like, I have a mom who's a single mother who really wants to give it like the time to spend time with her daughter because she knows that that she might not be understanding some things. They watch our morning meeting every day. They do all of they like have intentions to do these things. They post videos and they do things, but she is also working and trying to navigate a new normal for herself. And like a lot of what the teachers have been talking about today, like I can say specifically, we talk all the time, is like we've got ranges of kids who are like doing everything and thriving and feel a great deal of like self-fulfillment from it. And then we've got kids who are feeling a little bit like they don't really want to do it and they don't know what to do. There's a very big range of what they can do and what they don't want to do. And it's like, you know, the parents are trying the best they can, and they do feel, like you said, that they do have a lot of choices. But I'm trying to figure out a way to let the parents kind of understand that, like, these are choices. Like, this is not something that we need them to do. This is just a way to give them tools. And I did have a couple of parents say, I do feel grateful that, like, you are giving us things that we can choose from, you know, when we don't know what to do. But it's just I think, I don't know, I sort of feel like there's a shift of thinking that hasn't occurred yet for us as teachers, but also as a community of learners. And I just think we don't really know where we are yet. You know what I mean?
No, but you brought up a good point that also, as a parent, what I'm struggling with is I'm trying to still work and do all the impactful parent stuff while I'm answering questions for Naya and cooking lunch for my other 3 kids. And, you know, I'm multitasking, and I'm just not used to that right now. And if I know tons of parents are doing that. And I'm grateful for this elementary school kind of philosophy of, hey, just pick and choose and do whatever you can. I wonder what's happening or what's going to happen more to our older high school students, that they don't really have that the leisure to be able to pick and choose. I watch my son Casey work on some of the work that he has, and you know, they're beside themselves. Their high school teachers are still beside themselves. They're trying to teach chemistry online, and they're trying to teach just big subjects that they're just not used to it. It's I don't know. I feel, and even the AP students, what are the AP students going to be doing? Are they even going to be taking their exams? It's really sad. Yeah.
Audrey's daughter like is supposed to graduate this year, and she is she's a music major, and she's been working towards this recital for years, and she had to leave, and she has to come home, and she'll not be able to ever perform this operetta that she's written. So I know that it's like, I don't know, it's just really interesting times, and I don't think there's any answers right now. You know what I mean?
I have a senior as well. And, you know, I sit here struggling with, you know, he doesn't have a big load this last semester, but, you know, it's the physics, and, you know, which I've taken physics, but I don't even know how to help him. You know, and all they said was it's all in Google Classroom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just something else for me to try to figure out. But then there's this sense of loneliness, I feel like, with the kids being at home and being that age, and because all the sports are called off as well, and graduation will probably be called off. And, you know, I don't even know where to start with anything to even know if he's doing what he should be doing, or if it's okay to just let him pass. You know, yeah, and you mentioned the AP courses. I can't imagine. I mean, he's been in those up until just this past month, or this past semester starting. my other child is in some of the AP classes, and you know, is this online learning, is that going to give them what they need in order to succeed in the class or when they go back next fall?
Kristina,
Unmute,
you're still
Christine.
muted. I think you're still muted, Kristina. There you go.
I am. There we go. Okay, sorry. Porter, are you there?
Hi.
Hi. I don't know when you just. Yeah, I know you just got into the conversation, but I also know that you have a high school student, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think my
How
dog- somebody
how
just
is
came to my house.
what are they
Um,
doing for virtual? Are they doing virtual learning where you're at yet?
I have one at Rick's, and of course they're doing that, and then one at DPS Buyers, and they are not, and we're frustrated.
Yeah. What are your concerns with your high schooler?
That he's unengaged, and we're worried about him falling behind. I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen here, as I don't think anybody does yet, but on a day-to-day basis, we're like, how do we keep this kiddo engaged? And as we tell him, keeping his brain going, we've given him some little assignments, but we're not sure how this is going to play out in the long term.
Yeah, I'm on the board of a DPS school, and I know that what we've been talking about so far, we're waiting to get just direction from higher above on that, but there's a big equity issue with doing online school in the public schools because the technology isn't there for everybody. And also equity issues with learning differences too. How do you accommodate different kids? As you could tell, I mean, these RICS teachers are telling you, and they've already said kind of offline a little while ago, like the equity portion is so hard. How do you do that? I don't know if anybody want to speak to that. What have you done so far to try to accommodate for different kind of learning styles? It's so,
I'm curious about that for sure. And I don't know, is it like, can it be in like regular school where kids can have one-on-one time with their teachers?
I think the question kind of moved on when I raised my hand, but in terms of the equity, I think that's a really great question. I was just going to say I did see a report today that DPS, Denver Public Schools, was looking into purchasing additional Chromebooks and finding ways to ensure that all students at home had access to the internet. I've also heard that Xfinity is looking into offering their services free throughout the city, so that could be an option. As far as differentiating for students, that was still one of my original questions. So that was all I had. But
how are you guys differentiating? Does anybody have any ideas of how you're doing that as teachers?
I mean, I can just speak about like 5 and 6-year-olds. So I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I would have to say that FaceTime has been probably the best thing that I've done with kids. And like, I can just speak about like 5 and 6-year-olds. We sent them home with books from our library that were like from their book bags that they had chosen. And I'll have them take out a book and then they'll read it to me. And I've been able to look at their writing in journals and kind of give them feedback. And that is it. Like, it's all about FaceTime for as far as like individual feedback. And as far as differentiation, it's so hard. Like, I feel like I said earlier, like math has been a really big challenge. So I'm posting for math for both of the kindergarten classes. And it's like creating open-ended questions and choices and just saying, try this and try that. But the downfall is like, if I say, make an addition number and explain how it's addition using any 2 numbers, and they can use numbers like of 80, or they can use numbers of 2 and 4. It's all very leveled. I don't get to see their thinking or talk to them about their thinking or engage them in like more thinking. And I think it's just, the challenge is like, how do I shift my thinking to be engaged? And the bigger problem is like, the time the time that I have to invest in trying to become skilled myself in recording and wearing the right clothes. Like, I'm trying not to wear patterns because I know that they're going to distract them, you know? And like, how do I show a book? And I talked to Lindsay, our art teacher, today on the phone. She's been really amazing, calling people and just checking in. And she gave me suggestions of like making a glass table and putting the book underneath the glass and putting your phone like face down and recording it as you're reading it. And it's just those little technical things that take a lot of time. I don't think I've been away from a computer screen for like 10 minutes today. And I'm tired, my eyes are tired, my body is tired, and it's just a completely different, everything's different. So it's just an adjustment. And I do think that, like, you know, as far as human spirit goes, that we need to give everybody, like ourselves, like parents and teachers and kids, opportunities to just adjust and to be gentle and be slow. And I'm really feeling that parents are feeling overwhelmed by the amount of pressure they feel to teach their kids when they didn't ask to be homeschool teachers. Like, if they wanted to be homeschool teachers, they would have been homeschool teachers, but that's not it. But their kids are they are resilient, and the whole country is dealing with this. And I don't know, it's more of a human condition than an academic condition sometimes, I think. So I don't know, might be on a little soapbox here, so sorry about that.
No, I appreciate hearing it from a teacher's side. And you
Yeah,
just put the nail on that.
Who is your child at Rick's?
She's a 7th grader.
And what's her name?
Curry.
Oh, I know Curry. I'm Amy. I went to up in the mountains with Curry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love Curry. She's so sweet. Oh,
Thanks. I think she's having a great time.
Oh,
and
good.
I'm super excited about what Rick's is doing. It's amazing, and God bless you, because like you just said, I'm not a teacher, and I have 2 kids, and the other one, I'm like totally, I feel like I'm failing him because I don't know how to teach.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, I don't know how to balance like giving parents tools to be able to stimulate their kids, you know. And I don't know. I mean, Curry too is a very like, she's kind of a person who's in herself a lot, you know, and so it's probably hard for her not to be around her peers and just to be able to get energy from them. So that's also a really big challenge, I think.
I think she is getting it though from doing the online thing.
Oh, good. Okay.
Getting to see her friends and some little tidbits. She's, you know, the first day she's like, it's a little weird seeing everybody in like their personal space, but at the end of math today, we're all going to meet each other's pets. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. Oh, that's
so
sweet.
Amy, if I could piggyback off yours a little bit. Some of the experiences I teach 2nd grade. And I think the technology piece, while it is wonderful that we have availability to it, can also be a challenge. My kiddos are doing Zoom, which a lot of the older kids are doing, and the learning curve of that, of how to be on how to be on Zoom, how to behave, how to communicate, is hard when you have 8 7-year-olds together on one screen. But I also think that, you know, we did a couple science activities today where the kids just used things that they had at home. And it was the most excitement I've seen from them all week. And it wasn't part of the curriculum. It wasn't part of sort of me trying to keep them on track. It was, let's do something fun and interesting and kind of get into some more hands-on activities. So I'm kind of figuring out that balance of, I want to keep them on an academic trajectory, but I think it's also important to know the environment that we're teaching in, that we do have parents at home who they're stressed and they're swamped, and I want to respect that. And I do have kiddos who giving them a worksheet is not the way that they're going to learn. And so I just think we have to figure out a balance of kind of the 2 things of doing more interest-based, especially for the younger kiddos, more interest and play-based and project-based. And that's some of the feedback I'm getting from my parents is more projects that they can do a big project and then share out on video versus having 3 sheets of math. So I think it's just
piggyback on what you're saying too, Sarah. Thank you for that a lot, because as a parent, I need the teachers to give things that the child, the student can work independently on, because it goes back to, we're still trying to work our own jobs. So if we have to monitor and continuously like hover over our kids, it's so hard to continue working in our own job. And I have an easy job. I get to do the impactful parent, and I get to work online and create my own schedule. I can't imagine if I was in a different position where I was a real 9-to-5 job now suddenly thrown into the home. So that's one thing I want you to think about is, as teachers, as you're giving assignments, is like those big project kind of things would be really amazing, because again, we don't want to teach as parents at home. We want to guide maybe, but you get to the high school age, and again, then you don't, like Roxanne was saying earlier, we don't even know how to teach chemistry and algebra 2 anymore. I don't even remember how to do, I took those classes, but I don't remember how to do that. So it's really frustrating. And then Jordan in the comments said an amazing thing I want to point out to everybody. She's saying that how if we're doing screen time all day long with our kids, what's the effect of that? Jordan, you might want to correct me there.
That's exactly what it's something that I'm continuing to wonder, especially as here in Colorado, we're looking at, after tomorrow we have spring break, but the 3 weeks after spring break and this current week puts us at 1 month of the way that Rick's has their model. We're trying to keep kids as much on the 8:30 to 3:30 schedule as possible, but each teacher is reaching out virtually and a lot of times live. So that means that for a solid, take out lunch and recess times, we're talking a solid 6.5 hours of screen time every day for a month. And that's just something I continue to wonder about, is kind of what's going to happen when they're back. And I had something else that I wanted to speak to while you were talking. I've forgotten it, but if it comes back to me, I'll let you know. Sorry.
I hear what you're saying about like independence, and that was our ultimate goal when Audrey and I, the kindergarten teachers, put together like what we wanted them to do. We really wanted them to be independent. But I don't know what that looks like. And I know what it looks like as a teacher. And I would just love more feedback. And I think it looks different for every kid. That's the thing. Audrey's had great success with her guided drawing. And the kids will draw while she's drawing on the TV, on the video. But we don't really know what's working. We sort of do. And I don't know what level of independence there is. I do think that there's a new normal for everybody, right? So, we can't even go to the library. We can't do any of those things. So I don't know I don't really know quite what to offer. I know there's good questions what can they do independently? And I honestly, I don't know what that is in a home setting versus what it is in a school setting. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying, I try really hard, but I don't know how to get the feedback, or that's why talking to the kids is so important, because then I can find out show me something that you did. But the different interactions with kids on FaceTime, even some parents just give them the phone and let them talk to us and show us whatever they want. And then some parents want to be there to support the kids and have the conversations and learn from our interactions. And so everybody needs something different. And I think that is the bigger challenge, is that everybody needs something different.
And Amy, if I could, speaking on that, I think that's such a strong point, is that independence looks different for every child. I have students who I know I can give them the assignments and they take care of it on their own, where I have other kids I'll give the same assignment, but they need more support. And so I know that I'm still learning and trying to figure some of that out, of how do I support all students and not just have sort of a blanket assignments, but then at the same time, like you said, having sort of time to be able to do that, to really differentiate for everyone in the class. And I think that's probably one of the challenges that we face a little bit.
Roxanne?
Yeah, I had a question. And this is, again, just because I'm trying to understand what this is all about. And I can't remember who just talked about the point of, you know, us too, we have spring break starting next week. And it's kind of like, you know, how are we going to get them to dive in after we get from spring break because they're at home? But my question, and then my other question is are there, like, are teachers asking the kids to come, and this is probably more so older kids, but are they asking them to be online at a certain time of day where all of their friends, like on Zoom, they would see them? Or are they like doing one-on-ones with teachers like a couple times a week? Or, you know, and that's where I'm kind of lost as to like trying to keep up or figure this out.
I know for me, I'm meeting with my kiddos class 3 to 4 times a day on Zoom. So every time we begin a new academic, so we have a morning meeting, and then we'll do readers workshop, we'll do math, we'll do writing, we'll meet then. And then I've also sort of given out my personal phone number to every family to reach out and call me, text me, whatever they need. If their child has a question, if they need to have a personal Zoom, any of that. And so, and I've actually had really good communication with families on text message, because they can ask me right away and they can let me know what they need and I can respond right away, because sometimes emails kind of get lost. But I know other people are, like Tori, I know you're doing FaceTime, right?
Yeah, I'm doing FaceTime calls, and then I'm also recording lessons. So I'm not doing like a timed where my kids have to meet me at a certain time. I'm just recording lessons in the morning and then lessons in the afternoon, and they can do it whenever it's easiest for them. But I am doing FaceTime with my kids. And one thing that I have asked all my kids is like, what's the best thing that they like about this? And what's the hardest thing? And a lot of them have the same answer. Like the hardest thing for them is just not seeing their friends. And then, you know, that I'm not there to support them with things when they have questions. And they said that the thing that they like the most is because we're studying Legos right now in our unit, that's like their favorite thing to do. But everything that I sent home, we have done at some time in the year. And I did do like kind of a crash course on Friday when we found out that this was going to be happening. So I'm sure that some of it they remembered and some of it they don't. And I'm trying to like do like videos along with me talking, because I know that, because I teach first grade. And I know that for little kids, it's just hard to focus and to pay attention.
Yeah.
I know that my, again, for the high schooler that I have that's doing online, they are meeting at particular times. They're trying to get together on, I think they're using Google Chat or something to that nature. And they're meeting. Like if class starts at 9, they meet at 9 and they get on there. Spanish class is still being run virtually, like just like this, like us talking. And chemistry, some teachers are being able to teach a lot better than others, though. Again, it's just really hard, I think, well, it's hard for everybody, but as I kind of sideways listen to the high school teachers trying to do their thing, I mean, I can just hear them. They're struggling. They're really struggling with how to get the content across.
Yeah. And, you know, and that's the other thing with the older kids is like, you know, I'm trying to get them up at like 9 or 10, and they think they're just going to get done with everything in half an hour or an hour. And I'm like, you know, do you have to meet? Do you not have to meet? And, you know, and I just had a thought too, like, do you as teachers, is there a way to be able to I know you're all going to love video as much as Kristina does. But is there a way that maybe you did like a short video, even if it's just an audio at that came out on like Sundays or something. You could get it ready in advance where you could say, here's what we're working on this week, and here's what the students. So it kind of takes that, like Logan mentioned, how there was all this stuff that came home and all this overwhelming, and I'm trying to, I don't know. It's just a thought I had. Like, I wish I could know where they were at and what had to be due. I don't know.
I think they do all of that. They do those things, like they'll give notices the night before. This is what to anticipate. Organization seems to be really key. But that whole point, that piece of accountability, and you were talking about differentiation. I mean, kids getting feedback on their work is really key. So, you can put it out there, but if you don't have that kind of back and forth reciprocity between their work and your what you're putting out, then the level of the learning is low. And so I think we're having to figure those things out. One of the fourth grade teachers was talking about they met in small groups. The book groups met, like book clubs. And she said it was just kind of like this, and the teachers just sat back, and it was like, having one of your, book group meetings, kids just dialoguing. And for some kids, this medium seems to work pretty well. It kind of helps them, at least at this point in time, maybe it's novelty as well, but helps them kind of focus into what they're doing, at least in that in those times when they're engaged, like through a Zoom. But I think it's using multiple modes. So you are having individual conferences with kids, you are having small groups. It's not just the putting the assignments out there or putting the lessons out there. So we're having to figure this out. Mm-hmm. I think the good part is it kind of helps us refine education, maybe in some ways. Like, you were talking about projects and kids being able to be a little more self-directed. So then what is the most meaningful times for them to engage with each other and with adults? Is it to, have stuff expounded, or is it to kind of process through what they're working on? So kind of breaking it down.
Yeah.
Melissa, I hate to call you out here, but I'm curious from your parent perspective, have your girls started doing online learning yet?
So their school is quite a bit different. My kids go to a Waldorf-inspired school, so they don't have technology in the classroom at all, and it's actually part of like the parent contract that we have to keep them away from screens. So I think that they've taken their time to really come up with something that still aligns with our values as parents. And I haven't seen it yet. So my situation's like almost, I feel like the opposite of everybody else here. I teach at a facility school that is still open, and I still have to go into work every day, and I still see kids and all that stuff. So I have the potential to be exposed to this virus. It's a pretty high chance. So my kids are actually at home with their dad at his house in self-isolation so that they're safe. Their school has created packages for my kids, in each of the grades with materials and stuff that one of us has to go and pick up. They just had them ready today. So I don't know what is going to be in there. I'm kind of curious, but they do a lot of they do handwork, like knitting and sewing and stuff like that. That's something that they can do on their own. They do a lot of art in their school, and a lot of reading and writing. Their teacher sent out a list of things that they could do. There was a few, just like it was, to give the teachers a little bit of time to prepare some stuff. There was a few podcasts on there for the kids to listen to about what's going on that they included. the teachers gave their personal address, their home address, so that the students could write them letters and draw pictures for them. My kids are in 2nd and 4th grade. So it's going to be interesting. I haven't heard if they're going to do much stuff online. I'm sure that there will be a little bit, like probably I could imagine them doing something like this and do like a class reading, like the teacher would read a story to them or something like that. But it is interesting. And I also think that they really encourage the parents to, take those little moments in the day that they can still be learning, even if it's not school. Like with cooking, they can be help make breakfast, or they could be reading to one of their siblings. They could be playing math games with each other and that kind of stuff. They're sending out ideas like that. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious to see where you're at, because I knew you were really different. I'm wondering from the teachers here, okay, so you're definitely going to get some families who are all in and they're going to be doing the work. You're going to get some students who are going to be doing the work independently because they're self-motivated, and you're going to get some students who are going to do nothing, just nothing. They're not going to think it's serious. They're not going to do anything. And then let's say we go back to school in May. What are you guys' concerns about that? Because you're going to have, where do you even start off? Are you planning on doing review? What are the accountability, what's the accountability for the kids right now? Whether it's a high school student or an elementary school student, it really doesn't matter. These kids should be accountable. And what happens if they just blow it off?
I think that's something we probably need to have a bigger conversation about. I know for me, I have a couple kiddos that I just haven't had any contact with. And so I don't know how to sort of force that, where I have to have some kind of contact with them. Because I do think that's kind of some parent choice, and how they're choosing to handle the situation. So I think that accountability piece is kind of hard. For me, going back to school, it's almost just sort of like seeing where they're at and kind of knowing what we need to do and kind of starting there. I think that because I have kiddos who their learning styles are so different, and those are not maybe being met to the best of my ability just because of the situation that we're in, that I can't expect a certain level of learning to happen that would happen if we were in the classroom. And so I think going back to school for me personally, it's just gonna be like, let's just start. Let's just see where we're all at. Let's just see what our next steps are, and just what do we need to do. I think that kind of stress I don't want to put on my kids. I have kiddos who would get very anxious about that. And so I think we just have to kind of take it one step at a time, kind of moving forward.
Sarah, you have 2 children also, in addition. So what's your parent perspective? Are you worried about their education for the rest of the school year?
I'm kind of just day by day for me. It's been very difficult. I've not been able to spend the time with them that I need to. I have a 4th grader and a kindergartner. And so my 4th grader's she's pretty independent, but there's times that she has some anxiety and she's stressed and she's worried. And I haven't been able to really support her the way I would like to. My kindergartner, we have gotten wonderful things for her to do, but she's sort of that kid who pushes back. And if I say we need to go do writing or go do reading, unless I'm with her, it's challenging. And so we've sort of gotten this, well, we're going to do these over spring break because then I won't be working. And so that's where, for me, I've had to kind of adjust my schedule. And so I've sort of I do see the challenges as a working parent, like how do you support your kiddos who need it and not know how to support them.
Well, and if I could just say something, like I think these are unusual times, and sometimes I think that there is a reason to just take pause and just kind of say that, what I see, what I'm offering kindergartners and their parents is a way for them to feel engaged and part of their life and connected to other people. And, academically, they are skyrocketing right now. Like it's March in kindergarten and they are growing in immense ways, but you know what, these are unusual times. And I think that unusual times mean that we just need to stop expecting things to be the same. And just, you know, sometimes I think we just need to step back and take care of like just feeling a sense of connection and talking and FaceTiming and having them read a book to me or having them read something to me, and not necessarily feeling like I need to. I was thinking today about how I'm going to report out, right? Or like, you know, all those things. And I just don't even think that those things are things that we need to think about now, because we don't really even know. It's kind of a day-by-day situation. And I would just want everyone to just kind of like not feel pressure to be back where we were or where we thought we were supposed to be, but kind of like where we are and the unknown. And just, you know, just, I think for kids of all ages, it's about safety and feeling a sense of like love. And those are the things that I think that we should be focusing on, and not necessarily like, I don't know, like I know kids are graduating from high school and I know that there are big plans in the future, but these are unusual times. And I don't know if we can move forward in a fashion to expect things to resume the same way for a while. I just don't think so. So
I'd love to connect to that. I remembered what I forgot that I wanted to say earlier, but I don't want to just go and completely negate everything Amy just said, because I think that it is a really important reminder. And I do want to try to bring that more to the forefront for me as a teacher, definitely. But I guess maybe this is a question I have for parents, because Kristina and some of the other parents in this group had asked, you know, how do we find this balance between project-based exploration where students can find that independence and feel confident in what they're doing and do it in an exploratory way that's pretty open-ended, but in the same breath, and maybe this is more geared towards older students, there are still expectations that they're ready for the end of the year and that they're ready for the next year and whatever comes after that. And that's kind of my concern as a teacher, is how do I find the balance between giving new material so that they're moving forward in the year, but also not to the point I can't be there to help and I can't expect the parents to jump in at any and all times. So I think striving to find that balance between comfort zone and moving forward, I don't quite know where it is yet.
I wonder if part of that, Jordan, is playing to children's strengths. I had a conversation with a parent today who really talked about wanting to have something that was a strength for their child, and that's sort of it, thinking about projects, like thinking about even just like chemistry, like what kind of experiment can they set up at home, you know, versus working on like a worksheet, like what kinds of, you know, for math, we're talking about doing Lego challenges, like building something and measuring the area or the perimeter of the different sides. So I think it's also playing to kids' challenge it, or their successes and their interests. It's just a lot of kind of modifying, and it's something we're not always used to. But I think we can have some forward movement, but just in a different style of learning, which I think a lot of our kids truly enjoy.
You know, guys, we only have about 5 more minutes left. I want to give you guys an opportunity if anybody has any last thoughts. It's been such a wonderful hour. Thank you so much. I am so appreciative for everybody who came today. It's just, I love that idea of trying to figure out the social emotional piece and still moving forward. And I think that's so important for our older kids. And I don't know, there's no answers to that. But I think Jordan hit it on the head that there has to be some kind of balance in that. And I don't know, there is no answer right now. I wish I could, but it's something to think about. And it might be on the parents a little bit. I hate to say that because here I am as a parent, but you know, really honing into our child and saying, you know, I know you're at home, but this is still school. This is serious. You got to do the work, and really finding a way to get them to do it, even if they don't want to and they're not that motivated or they're not feeling like it's real. I don't know. Any last words to anybody else?
In terms of the real, I think that that's definitely a sense for everyone right now. I'm hoping that as this continues to go, maybe that feeling will wane a little bit and we'll start to get back into that serious mode, I hope.
Logan, you had a beautiful note on the side there. You don't want to say what you said?
I didn't want to interrupt. No, I mean, our school was planned to be out by May 8th. And so I just don't know if that is, I mean, I just have a hard time believing that our kids will even be back to school by that time. And if they are, it'll be for, you know, maybe a week, 2 at the most. So just the thought that I had pop into my head is how we could possibly spread out the curriculum into the summer, just to kind of alleviate some of the stress on parents trying to teach from home. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
And I also, Kristina, I also just wanted to, just before we ended up or closed for the night, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for being on, because as a parent, I think I'm very wrapped up in, are they getting what they need to get, and are they going to get there? But like I know Amy said, and Sarah, and well, all of you did, is that I just need to just settle in and, you know, take it day by day, because these are very different times, and, you know, not get uptight about it.
Yeah.
So thank you all.
Yeah. I'm going to chime in just for a second. So being a first grade teacher and knowing how difficult this is for my kids to take on their learning this way, I personally would like, and I know that not everyone agrees with me, but I personally would rather just have this time as our so-called summer break. And then when everything is safe for us to go back then, even if it means like working through the summer. Just because it's hard. It's hard for me, it's hard for my kids. I don't have kids of my own, but I know that it's like hard on my nephew, and like even my husband. So, because I'm not like doing what I should be doing around the house. So.
I think for me as an end, like something I learned today is I need to find those joy moments. I was really worried about like, we got to do the math and the writing and the reading, but today I just kind of stopped and I was like, we're going to do some fun stuff with milk. And the kids loved it. And so I think we have to find some joy in this situation, because I think other things will kind of naturally fall in. And I think there's amazing teachers, and we know how to support kids. And I have confidence, I know in both my girls' teachers, that when they go back, they'll both get what they need. I just think we have to keep the joy going, because kids feel it. They pick up on it when the adults around them are unhappy or stressed. And I know it's hard, and it's, even as a parent, it's really hard for me to not get kind of in that downward spiral and that negative bubble. But I think if we can just find those joy moments where we just are kind of having some fun, I think that's okay. And I'm going to try to keep doing that. It's just having some fun. So that's kind of where I'm leaving it.
Well, you guys, thank you for everybody. And that's a nice ending to everything. We do have to find joy in everything that we're doing right now. So we don't, could be very sad times, but really we're just trying to keep each other safe. And then that's what's important. And we get to spend time with our kids, and we got to figure out that quality time, whether it's educational or teaching them how to cook and how to do their own laundry. We can do other things as parents to teach our kids things that are useful for their life. And just thank you to everybody who came in tonight. Again, I really, really appreciate it. And it was just, my heart's full because you guys were all here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristina.